G'day again and welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Lago Maggiore, and today we're on the West Circuit for 18 laps in the Group 4 cars for the second race of the 2021 Manufacturer Series. And this is a circuit and a combination, in fact, that I'm quite comfortable with. This was the first circuit I ever had an online race on, in fact. A successful online race, I should say. And the vehicle I'm in, the Group 4 Subaru, is my favourite vehicle in the game and one that I'm most comfortable driving. So let's take a look at my qualifying lap. So as we begin the second flying lap, which was my, the first flying lap I should say, which was my my best attempt. About the race, it's 18 laps, it's a straight sprint. We're on the racing hard tyres, and the fuel and tyre wear mean that there is no need to stop at all. There are no pit stops in this race. It is just straight from start to finish in one go. So as we come down to Big Banky Boy, or as the locals call it, Il Grande Ragazzo in Cravato, and people start crossing the line for their qualifiers, and the times that are being set aren't too flash, but I suppose that's to be expected at this level. During free practice, my best lap time was a 1:29.6, which I was very happy with. This qualifying lap didn't really get me anywhere close to that. In fact, I end up with a, I think it was a 1:31 flat by the end of this, which is a good 1.4 seconds slower than my best attempt on this track. Good enough provisionally for 4th, but as others cross the line, it puts me into 7th. And in 8th on the grid, we have, well, I'll just call him Bank Account, and we get into a pretty good fight with him on the track. Good fight, we're not mean to each other, but a good racing fight on the track as the race progresses. Again, with the Manufacturer Series, the region is larger, so you do see a lot more people from other parts of the world, mainly Japan and other parts of Asia, which, I mean, it seems to me it would make more sense to have the Nations Cup have a wider region and then the Manufacturer Series zeroed in, but I don't know. I suppose it's just the way that they've set the the qualification for the World Finals up later, that they have to do it that way. But yeah. So as we get started here at Lago Maggiore, I'm feeling pretty good. I didn't really have to do much in the way of practice for this race, as I know the track really well and I know this car really well. So down the home straight for the first, to start the first lap, I decided to sort of stick to the outside a bit on this on T1, just to avoid any potential chaos or carnage, and also to give myself the inside line for T2. But everyone seemed to make it around those two corners okay, which is surprising considering what T1 is usually like at tracks like this, where T1 is, you know, quite a severe turn. And down the fastest part of the track, behind Ray, who we've seen a couple of times this season. With Bank Account hot on my heels. I mean, I'm sure Bank Account has a real name, and I'm sure it's a lovely name, but I don't even know. I mean, I just think if I was to spend the entire race calling him C0627A0115, that would get old quick. And this is quite a fun circuit to race on. As we flash forward to the beginning of lap 3, and Marty up ahead has accumulated a second of penalties, and he'll pick up some more before he gets to the line. So that's really, and there we go, another second on top. So 2 seconds of penalties to burn off, and the penalty line on this circuit is right at the start of the fastest part of the track, this downhill section into Big Banky Boy. And that allows Ray and myself and Bank Account to get past, and Bank Account then gets onto the inside and makes a move on me, gets that done nicely. I tried the cutback, but the Hurricane just has too much power. So I stick in his slipstream as much as possible and start to put the pressure on. And this begins our dance through the next, 10 laps of this race. And I pretty much stick to the back of him throughout the next several laps. And I think the Subaru and the Hurricane are pretty evenly matched cars, just given my experience in this race. The Hurricane, I think, has better acceleration and better top-line speed, although, you know, what car doesn't have better top-line speed than the Subaru? As Ray gets a taste of grass, which allows Bank Account to start making a move, and makes a very risky move on the outside going into the straight down to Banky Boy. But yeah, the Hurricane and the Subaru seem to be fairly well matched. You know, the Hurricane has the speed, but the Subaru has the handling. So and I think you'll see that come into play as we sort of battle it out, as I get right up beside Ray. Coming through this section, I just sort of tap his bumper in accidentally and hang back a bit. I didn't want to take the position like that. But coming around here, with Marty right on my tail, Ray brakes really early and really harshly, and that opens up a gap for me, and I gladly take it. And Ray spends the next lap and a half flashing his lights at me. In fact, when I was watching this on the replay, he was flashing his lights well before this happened. I think he just likes flashing his lights. But yeah, so he does stick behind me fairly closely through the rest of this lap, as he continues to flash his lights basically constantly. But I'm not worried about Ray. I'm concentrating on closing the 2.2 second gap up to Bank Account in P5. Because that kind of a gap, that's a difficult one to close when, you know, you've got two cars that are, you know, as evenly matched as these are. So around Big Banky Boy, and Ray still flashing his lights at me. But now Marty gets up beside Ray in my rear vision mirror, and that, as they're fighting for P7, you know, I think that slows the both of them down, and Marty gets the move done and up into P7 behind me. And that gap behind, you know, Ray was in my slipstream, and now that gap has ballooned out to 1.3 seconds. So to continue the chase, and into lap 8 now, and I'm getting closer, and it's really just about wearing down that gap and you know, making sure I'm concentrating as much as possible on the track, and you know, because at this point it's, oh, that was cutting a bit close. Oh, please don't give me a track limit penalty. Please don't give me a penalty. Please don't give. Ah! Oh, it's okay. It's okay. It was a purple sector. It's fine. I'm fine. It was a purple. It was a purple sector.
A purple what?
Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, chasing down bank account. So, beginning of lap 9 now, and I catch up to him and start to really put the pressure on. And I'm not interested in this at this stage in really, you know, dive bombing him or making a move. I kind of just want to hang behind him and let him know I'm there, and just to pressure him into, you know, possibly making a mistake. So as we come down the downhill to Big Maggie Boy, I get out of his slipstream because I don't want to accidentally ram him from behind and send him off into the gravel, because then I'd have to basically stop until he got back onto the track, and that would be both our races ruined. So there's plenty of time left in the race. I didn't want to rush it and you know, potentially ruin both of our races. So we'll flash forward now to midway point through lap 13 as we come around Big Banky Boy. Bank account touches the sand with his rear wheels, and that's enough to really wash off any speed that he had, and I make an easy pass at that point. And as we come around the top of the course here, he's right behind me, but he takes too tight a line through that turn and cops himself a half-second track limit penalty. And although he manages to stay in my slipstream for a while, once we cross the penalty line, that really does pull him out of it. And he does get close to me again towards the end of the race, but I think that you know, that penalty really did, as we go forward to lap 15, he's still close. He's managed to catch back up, but if he hadn't have had that penalty, can't help but think that maybe he would have had an opportunity to go for a move. But as it stands, he's behind me as we move into cockpit view for my fastest lap of the race. And bank account is still right there, but like I say, I'm not necessarily worried about what's going on behind me. And I think there's two ways to look at, you know, these close gaps: if you're in front or if you're behind. If you're behind, you want to put as much pressure on the car in front as possible. Let them know that they're there, and try to, I guess, encourage them into being distracted by you, and that might lead to a mistake, which gives you an opportunity to take a position. But if you're in front in that situation, you keep an eye on the radar, you know, especially coming into turns, to make sure you're not going to be dive bombed, and, you know, maybe you need to defend on certain sections. But other than that, you just put them out of your mind and you concentrate on the road ahead. You know, and I think that really is why he doesn't catch me during this race, because I wasn't concerned about it. I wasn't really that worried that he was where he was. And it was because I was so confident with this car and this track that I was able to just concentrate on my race and not worry about his too much. So 1:31.5, you know, again, a good second and a half slower than my fastest lap in free practice. But as we start the final lap, and we see the gap back to bank account has ballooned out to, well, up above 2.5 seconds now. The gap ahead to P4 is over 6 seconds. I'm not going to catch them, but bank account really has lost the opportunity to catch me. I think the last opportunity he had was back after I passed him after he went off the grass. He caught up with me again, but that penalty really sapped him. And it's because of this track. You get a penalty on this track and it really hurts because of where the penalty serving zone is. So, not a terrible race by any stretch. Certainly not as action-packed as previous installments, but do you know what? I'm fine with that. Sometimes a nice, easy, leisurely race is, all you need. They can be taxing these, especially when they get competitive. But this one was just about as competitive as I'm comfortable with it being, to be honest. As we come up to the checkered flag and cross the line in P5, gaining 2 positions over the race, which on a track like this in Group 4 cars, where it's a very fast track and a very fast race, you're not gonna, unless every car in front of you has an absolute disaster, you're not gonna win from P7 on the grid. Thanks for watching. The next race is the second round of the 2021 Nations Cup. We'll be at Spa-Francorchamps in Group 1 machines. That should be an interesting race. Although I'm familiar with Spa, I'm not familiar at all with Group 1 machinery. I've never raced in it before, so that should be an interesting experience, to say the least. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment and subscribe. And that's all from me, and I'll see you at the next race.